Okay, so in regards to how to find the best teacher for what your specific goals are, whether it's health, whether it's from a physical martial aspect, or whether it's from an emotional aspect. How do you identify the right teacher for you?
You go find the wrong one. That's my short answer. Is you go find the wrong teacher first, because you have no idea. You can look at everything on the internet and still not know. I mean, the guys that I think are good at martial arts, people think they look like shit at martial arts. There's a reason for that, because I can see things from all of my experience, not maybe a beginner can. It's just that simple. So when you're starting martial arts, there's lots of things, right? You have to determine what your motivations are, which are usually pretty shallow at the beginning. Like mine were to beat up a bully. But as your motivations change, or as you're more mature and you really dig into yourself a little more, and you're like, no, I need to have structure in my life, and I want to get into better health, and all you start to see kind of mature ideas. Then they're going to look at his teacher differently. But realistically, remember that you're really never training an art. You're training with a teacher. They happen to know something you don't. And the person that it's being transmitted through matters almost more
Than the art
than the
itself,
art does that they're
because it's how
transmitting.
they deliver it. And if it's delivered wrong, we've all had the teacher that we struggle with a certain subject,
Yeah,
English or math, and some teachers they can try every way and you don't understand it, and then you get the one teacher and it's like magic. It just turns on and you're like, I get it.
exactly. When I had the Red Jade School, as often as I could, I would take my guys to competitions, or I would like call up other schools and be like, "Hey, come over," right? And we would do field trips all the time, because there was nothing better than seeing one of my guys hear another teacher say the same thing differently and seeing him get it and being like, "Yeah, I'm gonna remember how he said that because that helped him," right? Because we're all looking for the same things, but not everybody learns the same way. It's not an easy thing to find a teacher. But if you really want to see what a teacher's like, you should look at the students. That's my advice. If you really want to know, should I join this club? There's a club nearby. Well, first of all, there's that problem. All right, fine. Open the can of worms. Proximity to you should not be the issue, in my opinion.
No.
But it's the first thing everybody looks for. What's close to me? Okay, lazy guy. Yep, be lazy. See what's close to you. So now you've limited the entire world down to a half-hour drive. All right. Let's see how that works out. So let's say there's 10 teachers in that half-hour drive. You pulled the whole world to 10. Now you have to look at, what am I trying to learn? What are my reasons for being there? What is the art that I don't like using that word. What is the system I'm trying to learn? Right? So let's say it's martial. It's a martial arts system. Well, out of those 10 teachers, there's only like 4 that teach martial arts. The rest are like, hippie, Tai Chi, white light bunny, Qigong people. They're just all about the health, right? So that's not to your liking. So now you're down to whatever I said, 3 or 4 people. Well, how do you pick from those 4? Well, maybe there's something that just draws you. Sure. Maybe you're a person who likes to kick, so the Taekwondo club is very appealing. Or you liked the Ip Man movies, so you're gonna go to the Wing Chun place, or whatever.
Would it not make more sense to then take the last three or four on the list and before you commit, go and investigate the school, investigate the
Mm-hmm.
teachers, investigate the students? Most of them should be more than willing to just let you sit and watch the class
Mm-hmm.
and see how that resonates with you and how the students react to the teacher as well as
Yeah. If they won't let you watch a class, don't go there. That's my advice.
without paying.
I have met, huh, I've been thrown out of places because they won't let you watch classes, with the excuse. The one excuse was, our students pay for their privacy, and I was, anyway. That didn't go great. And then the other one was, our students are Chinese and you're not. and I got thrown out of that club because I was white.
So that would have been their cultural assumptions
their
and
problem.
ideas. That had nothing to do with you as a student seeking.
But this goes into the point anyway. If you want to know what a teacher's really like, look at their top students. Because those students have put hours and hours of time in with that other human. Regardless of their martial skill, you're going to see personality traits come out. You are. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Watch how they are when they leave the club. Are their shoes in a big mess? Or do they show respect? Do they hold the door open for somebody on the way out? Or do they not? Are they in the parking lot, throwing their trash on the ground or putting it in the receptacle? What kind of humans are they? Because those humans are modeling themselves after that teacher. So if you see a teacher who you're researching, right? We got our 4 or 5 teachers, you're researching, you go on the internet, that's the modern thing. You get to the Facebooks, and the teacher does nothing but badmouth every other club but his. What kind of a person do you think that is?
Sounds like someone who's trapped within their own ego.
And do you want to hang out with that?
No.
Bottom line, I don't want to hang out with that guy. I just don't. That negative crap just doesn't fly with me. So does it matter how good he is? Wow. Probably not. And this is my reason for saying that. If I was the teacher and I had a student who's a dickhead like that, how much do you think I'm going to teach him?
Not a lot, because you don't want him using it in an inappropriate way.
And now he moves to another town and opens a school. And that's what happens. Right? The ego's a very dangerous thing, for sure. So finding a teacher is really hard. It can be really hard. That's why I say you gotta find the wrong one. Even if it means you find it on the internet, or you attend a class and you watch it, and you go, that's not it.
And you go, not that.
Not that. Not that. This martial art? No, it's not that one.
And keep looking till you find,
Because you'll find one.
this is the one.
That's it, yeah. And it might be completely something other than you expect. Totally something other than you expect.
Now, based on that completely other than you expect, the one thing that is being talked about more so, and the benefits of martial arts and its different disciplines, is how to help cope with emotional distress and anxiety. You see a lot of TED Talks about breath. You see a lot of these things about how to manage your stress and your anxiety, and so many people don't consider that part of the health benefits of learning one of the disciplines. So how for somebody who's looking at it from suffering from massive stress, anxiety, single moms, single parents of any kind, anybody who is going through this, especially through the pandemic, where we've had to face a fear that we cannot see and can hit you at any time, especially before we had vaccines or anything. How would someone who's searching for that type of relief find a good teacher? Because it's not just visible in their movements or their students. How do you find that deeper level?
First of all, you'd have to know you're looking for it. However, even if you don't know that that's what you're looking for, a teacher who has it, you'll see it. And what I'm saying is, I'm going to stay in the martial. I'm not even going to go into the health for this one. Because the martial will create the health here. One of the most beautiful things, my buddy Jason and I, one of my students, friends, what we would always talk about was how one of the great things about martial arts is you can take spirituality and take stress and take things that seem intangible and you can test them. So for instance, somebody who has a lot of stress, let's just take that. There's a psychophysiological reaction to stress. Our neck tightens, our jaw clenches, our shoulders come up, right? All that kind of stuff. So if you're a martial artist, a martial arts teacher, you should already know that stress creates tension in the body, especially in these places. You should be able to see that in your students instantly, right? And now you know that tension it's not just because they were lifting weights that day. There's some stress. You know they don't know it. So now you have to try to help them relieve the stress, because number one, if they don't relieve that stress, they'll stay tight and their martial arts will suck.
And they could hurt
And
themselves.
they'll probably hurt themselves or somebody else. And they're not really getting any benefit because the stress is the problem. So then, how do you deal with stress? Well, you want to deal with stress, you start with psychophysiology. In Chinese medicine, it's called to treat the mind, you treat the body. To treat the body, you treat the mind. If I have stress in my mind, that means it will show up in my body. That means if I were to make my body relax, my mind will relax too. That's yin yang. And it's just true, you can test it yourself. If you drop your shoulders and unclench your jaw, you feel better. Instantly. It's not even like a delayed reaction. We instantly feel better. And the second you stop looking at your phone and stretch, you feel better. So it's just obvious. It's an experiential thing. We all know. Well then, okay, so now I know how to kind of relieve stress, but what about like under pressure?
Yeah.
Because now you're talking about pressure with things like the pandemic, right? What else does martial arts teach but how to deal with pressure?
Discipline of the mind.
When I was being taught by my Shaolin teacher, one of the conversations we had was about fear. I remember this. We were in a shitty old green car. Terrible car. And I had just lost real bad in a sparring night. I can't remember who beat me up. Probably Dom. Likely Dominic. But I remember saying, you know, I can't beat him. I'm so afraid. Because I was probably Dom, honestly. Because of all of my brothers, he was the guy I was scared of. Because Dom was fast as lightning. Like, so fast there was just nothing. I could not outspeed him, right? Which was very annoying. And he scared the shit out of me because he could hit like a train. So I'm sitting there with Sifu and I'm like, how do I deal with this? I can't beat him physically. I'm so afraid of him. And he said, do you believe in fate? And I'll be honest, I was like, no, I really don't. But I said, why? He said, when two people cross hands, one's gonna lose. One's gonna win, right? Well, yeah. So what are you worried about? There's nothing to worry about. You're either gonna lose or win, right? It can't be any other way. So there's no reason worrying about the outcome anymore. Worry about how well you're doing your martial arts.
So worrying would just make you suffer twice.
Well, worrying to make you lose. The second you don't worry, what happens? Your body relaxes. Your breathing becomes deeper. Relaxation equals power and clarity. Suddenly, because you're not worried about losing,
You're thinking clearer.
you're clear, and now you're the dangerous one, which generally puts a fear response on the other person. Because there ain't nothing scarier than looking at the 70-year-old Chinese man and saying, hey, I want to fight you. And he goes, okay, and stands up, and you go, oh, that can't be good. Because, like, he's not afraid, and you should be afraid, I think. But that's it, right? It's the way it is. If you understand how to test yourself in stress, then you can overcome a lot. Like a lot. I had a lot of fear about fighting. One of my biggest problems was that I would turtle. When somebody would get in really close, I would turn and turtle and turn my back, and the next thing I was choked and whatever, right? And that's what finally started to get me over it was, well, what do I have to be afraid of, though? Is he going to beat you? Well, I don't know. He's not if I'm really cool and calm and collected. So I'm just going to forget about winning and losing. I'm going to worry about what I'm doing right now.
In the present.
And what I'm doing right now in the present is trying to release stress and release tension in my body and do my martial arts. And win or lose doesn't matter because now it's just learning. And it's always about just learning, unless it's real. Like, unless it's real, you don't have to worry about losing. Kung Fu Brother beats the shit out of you. He takes you out for beer later. You know, you lose the tournament, you don't get a medal. Poor you. That's the moments of learning. That's the best place to learn. I had a guy come in once for full time. And in the first day, he told me that he was basically the most zen and was like not afraid of death. And I remember asking him to train with, I'm not even going to mention who he trained with because they'll probably give away who it was. I asked him to train with one of my higher level guys, and in about 10 minutes, he was afraid of death. And like crying because he was afraid of death. And we had tea. We talked about ego. We talked about what reality is. Because if you weren't afraid of death, that wouldn't have happened. So why don't we slowly bring you to that place you want to be? Let's start by sparring. For instance, like the way I teach, we spar really slow, like Tai Chi slow. And that's the reason. There's no fear when this is the punch. You know, like what are you afraid of? Nothing. I have time, I can calm, I can cool, I can collect myself, I can do the technique. Give yourself 500 hours of that with the speed slowly going up. Next thing you know, they're punching as fast as they can. You're calm, you're cool, you're collected, and they're picking their teeth off the ground. But it has to do with how I learn to deal with myself. It's all in our own heads. Martial arts are like a testing ground or a lens to look at our own assumptions. And that's it. If we're studying ourselves in martial arts and nothing else, the whole combatant part of it was at one time necessity, sure. That's what born a bunch of the arts. But it's not anymore. And it never was only about that. The only people that were only fighters were the young men who were only fighters.
Young man's ambition.
Young man's ambitions, 20 to 30-year-olds who think they're tough as nails. Great, that's fantastic. Kicking ass. Whatever. Conor McGregor, he's a young man. He's an MMA type guy, right? The tattoos and stuff. Tough as nails. Ooh. When he's 60, I guarantee you that's not going to be the way he thinks. Unless he's a total idiot. Because nobody thinks like they're 20 when they're 60. You know what I'm saying?
So where your mind sits and your assumptions and your perceptions on the world and those things around you have more of an impact
Than any amount of technique.
or style or teacher. It's about
It's you.
first and foremost what's inside you and what your purpose is.
What am I doing here? Jace would always say things like, if you really understand martial arts, you should be able to go to any martial arts class. Oh, is there somebody behind me?
There's a big lizard behind you.
A big lizard?
He's a little gecko.
Oh, it's not like a big lizard.
I'm just waiting for him to jump on you.
If he jumps on me, I'm gonna flip out.
He wants to be famous.
Maybe he is. Yeah. It's all about ourselves. If you really understand martial arts, Jace would say, you should be able to go to any martial arts teacher, no matter how bad, and learn something from them. That might be
What not to do.
how not to be a martial arts teacher. Or, maybe I should check my ego. Or maybe, wow, he does a kick I've never seen before. Or I've never seen that application. Or maybe they have a talk at the end of class and it's a principle you've never had occur to you. Like, that is why it matters. Because if you're not open-minded enough, you can't do that. You become... I'm a kung fu guy, for instance, right? We're the red-headed stepchild of the martial arts world right now. Everybody thinks kung fu sucks. And whatever, all they're doing is closing themselves off to possibly learning something from us. Just like kung fu guys go, oh, MMA sucks. It's closing ourselves off from learning something from it. Why? Ego. Because we've invested all our time and energy into something, so we think it's awesome. We're not willing to let everybody else think they're awesome or something. It's right back to the strawberries. The strawberries, you don't know what I'm talking about.
So tell us about the strawberries.
Tell us about the strawberries. My teacher, Robert Thurman, my Buddhist teacher currently, described Buddhism like a food fight. And he said the problem with the world today is that everybody's got a strawberry. And they want as many strawberries as they can get, and they're going to keep their strawberries. They're going to hide them from everybody else. But if they were just to start a food fight and whip their strawberries at everybody else, soon they'd be covered in them. 'Cause it's a food fight. Everybody's going to share. Whether you like it or not, you're getting strawberries now.
Otherwise, you just run away with your own little strawberry
Run
and you
aw-
don't get involved in the fun.
And you don't have any fun? Or that many strawberries. And strawberries are good. I'd much rather throw my strawberry. You know? Like, seriously. I don't see why people have to clash over the my style's better than your style anymore. They used to do that because it was life and death at some points. It's not.
Now it should be about an exchange of knowledge and information for everyone to be better as a whole.
Yeah, better people. We need better humans. We don't need better fighters.
No.
It's just that simple. I know, I became a pretty good fighter. Did it help me be a better human? Eventually, when I realized that it turned me into a shithead. And it started to make me go, wow, Neil, you gotta stop, thinking like this. I don't need to be the toughest guy in the room all the time. I live in fear, right? Because that's what it was. I was living in fear. I had to be tough. I was scared because I had been bullied. Who's the bully? Where's the bully? The only way I got over it when I was young was I turned into the bully. Now I realize now that there really aren't any. The bullies are just people we need to feel sorry for. We need to help them figure out that they don't need to be bullies either. Not kick the crap out of them. I mean, don't get me wrong, some people need a slap in the head. But not everybody.
But in the real world, especially in this day and age, in 2021, we aren't looking at, except for those who are in the military and this kind of stuff, the average population and individual doesn't live in the same kind of fear that we would have experienced as a general populace, say in the 1400s or the Qing Dynasty, or
Not even close.
so because we've become more peaceful as a people on the whole, so many more people are turning to it for the internal
Yeah.
arts.
For internal reasons, yeah.
Because
But that keeps getting misconstrued as well. What does internal mean? Right? It just means self-change. That's it. It doesn't mean... It means a lot of things. It's another whole video.
okay, got
Okay.